Hey y'all, welcome or welcome back to Babeinlibrary. It's your girl Lisa, and it is time to read some private investigator romances. If you're watching this, I'm not sure what I've decided to title it. I'm thinking under investigation and or I've got my eye on the PI. But either way, I have two books that I'm reading for you all in this reading vlog. Both of them are centering romances with PIs. The first one is going to be The Misconnection by Tia Williams. This is Tia Williams' latest release. Again, it is a romance in which it has a little bit of a love triangle. Now, I say a little bit that's because really, is there a third leg? Is there a person behind her mystery man? So this one we're going to start talking about in the next clip, but this one is about a girl who gets on a plane. She's going out of the country. She meets a man in seat 6F and he's her mystery guy. He's like perfect for her. They have this airplane romance where they just spill out all of their trauma. They talk about their dreams and they make this connection, but it is a misconnection because they didn't get each other's name and or phone number or any way to contact each other. So she hires a PI that she had a past history with to find this mystery man. And of course, that means that they're working together in close proximity. So this is the first one that I am reading. But I will also be picking up Nikki Payne's The Princess and the PI. The interesting about this, both of these books I picked up because the authors were coming to my hometown and hosted by the Novel Neighbor. So I will get to see, what the authors think about these books. But Nikki Payne came, I believe, at the end of last year when she was promoting Princess and the PI. This is a story about our main character, Fiona. Fiona has gotten herself in a little hot water and she is under investigation for schmurder. And so she is like, I've got to clear my name. And who comes to her rescue other than Mr. Bennett? Now, his real name is Maurice Bennett, but I typically call him Bennett for the duration of this book, just because, again, he's a cop, he's a private investigator. They usually go by last name. So if I misconstrue his name, blame it on my head and not my heart. But Maurice doesn't necessarily come to her rescue. He's more about finding out what's going on and getting down to the bottom of the brass tacks. Like, he is trying to figure out, hey, who is this woman? Why is she a suspect? What's going on? And oh, by the way, she's tied to a cold case that he has not been able to solve, and he needs to know what really went down. And so in this, they start to work together because she is an amateur sleuth. And she's trying to figure out, hey, how can I clear my name? But how can I get closer to this man? So again, these are the two romances that I will be picking up in this vlog. Go ahead and take a look at my thoughts. I am here to do a check-in. I am here to tell you all about The Misconnection by Tia Williams. This is one out of, I believe, the two books that I will be reading for this vlog. And before I even talk about what this book is about and my feelings about it, I want you all to know I have to come back and recant a statement that I made. When I first saw this cover, it did not draw me in. It was not visually appealing. However, the more I look at it in person, the more I appreciate the artistry of it. First and foremost, when you see Tia on tour, she is constantly wearing these yellow earrings. And I love how she is tying it in. Tia Williams is such a fashionable person. Of course, she works in the beauty, fashion, and industry. And so fashion is kind of her steal and her appeal. And this is very much evident with a lot of the characters that we see. Tia has been very, very candid about, like, she wants to showcase FMCs that have a affinity for artistry, that has an affinity for noticing and appreciate things of beauty. And I think that she even does that with her art and her book covers. Now, me personally, I am a people person. So 7 Days in June and The Love Song for Ricky Wow are typically my go-tos. But the longer I look at this cover in person, the more that it calls to me. I think part of the reason why I am finding this striking is the fact that it has such vivid colors. So you can see this beautiful teal with this orange, this yellow, and then this bright pink. and it ties in with like green and red accents. So it starts to become a lot more eye-catching, like I said, when you see it in person. And then if you open up the dust flap, the flap is in like this teal color and it's gorgeous. But then the coup de grace is when you peel back the cover and you look at the spine. It's all tied in beautifully. So the longer I look at this, and I am reading it with my eyeball, so like the physical cover, while also listening to the story. So the more and more I look at it, the more and more it draws to me. It does have this matte finish. And I already had my grubby hands on it, and so I'm starting to see a little bit of smudge marks, but you know, neither here nor there. Let's get into the book. And so I am tabbing it up because I'm really enjoying this. This book is about our FMC, Sasha. Sasha is really trying to find her way back into the world. She has been a recluse for a few years, mainly since 2022 when something terrible happened to her and she started to distrust people, more specifically distrusting men. And so this does have some heavier themes and topics. One thing I can say before even getting into the synopsis, Tia does a really good job of showing representation when it comes to anxiety. Our FMC is very, very anxious. Specifically getting onto this flight where it starts off the book, she hasn't been, like I said, out of her house in years. And so she's taken this flight to find a particular cast member to join in this beauty infomercial or commercial. And she is like, hey, I don't do well with being out in public, one, but two, getting on a flight and trying to integrate in a land where I don't know anybody, I don't know the culture, I don't know how to speak the language is a lot. So she goes to this nail tech. Now, this nail tech is a little bit quirky, very much giving Tia's affinity for utilizing magical realism as we've seen in A Love Song for Ricky Wilde. But in this one, the nail tech says, hey, let me do a palm reading for you. Now she does this palm reading and she says, your love lines run really deep. I think you need to be open to the opportunity of love. And the first thing that Sasha's like, she's like, not over here. That shop is closed. As a matter of fact, I am barely coming outside as is. You want me to come outside and be optimistic about a man? Never gonna happen. But she gets on this flight and she gets into first class. Now, before she even meets the man, she takes, I would say, like some sort of mood calming stabilizer, whether it's Xanax or some other sort of relaxation prescription. She's like, let me take that. And also let me pre-order a drink because baby girl is going to sleep. And I don't suffer from flight anxiety, but I understand when you are anxious, you need something to take the edge off. Like me right now, I'm enjoying this glass of wine, so I can't shame her. So she takes this and she's starting to feel groovy. Now she meets the man that is going to be sitting in seat F. Now, seat F is what we tend to call this man because we talk to him for hours and don't get to know his name. And at first she's like, no, I don't want to talk to you, strange man. Like, you may be attractive. However, you're of the male variety and I'm not interested. But the more she talks to him, the deeper the conversation goes. And the more he starts to make her feel relaxed to the point where she's like, okay, I am taking interest. I am taking intrigue. And he's like, hey, let me take you out on a date when we get back to the city. Like, he spends about 6 months in New York and then he goes back home where he is from. However, she's enjoying her time. They never exchange names. Like, to be so engrossed in a conversation with a person to the fact that you don't necessarily exchange anything that is surface level, like a name, first or last, Instagram, Bookstagram, whatever the medium of mode of social communication, like, y'all don't do any of that. Y'all are just jumping right into the deep end and talking about your parental trauma. You're talking about your inability to speak your native tongue for you to be able to talk about any and everything but who you are. Now, of course, as I told you, Sasha is feeling good. And so sleep takes her over, and then they get into the city after getting off of the plane and they lose each other. And so she's like, okay, I need to figure out who this man is. So she sends out an email to her boss, who happens to be a friend from college. And she's like, hey, I think I just met the man of my dreams and I wasn't even trying to. I never got his name. do you think he works for our company? Because he's attractive and he has an eye for fashion and he has an eye for talent. Now, she is on lookout to find someone that would be a part of this beauty campaign. So she's like, okay, maybe he works for the company. So in her drunken state, she sends out an email thinking it's going to her college friend / manager. No, baby, it goes to everyone in this global company. And so she's like, I just royally messed up. But nobody is able to find her mystery man. So she's like, who is the one person in my life that I think would be able to find him? So she calls on an old trusty accomplice, which happens to be a private investigator. Now, this private investigator helped her out when she went through this terrible time in life back in 2022. And his name is Wes Dane. And Wes is like, okay, I don't do that type of work anymore. But one thing about Wes is down bad for Sasha. So he's like, I don't do that work anymore. However, I've never been able to tell you no. Anything that you've asked of me, I was able to do it. And because I helped you out in the past, I feel like this is a full circle moment for us. And so I helped you get a bad person out your life. And now I'm going to bring a good person, hopefully, into it. I'll take on this job under a few circumstances. He's like, hey, if we do it my way. You don't do any side investigations. It is not going to be a situation where I introduce you to him. He has to be able to decide whether or not he is interested in meeting you. And I'm going to, keep a tab on him in case he's a bad person, because we can't circle back to what you've already been through. And the last and final thing, we can't do this anymore. Like, I can't have a personal relationship with you because that broke me the last time, and I broke a lot of rules and I messed up a lot of relationships. So while I care for you, I can't be pulled back into this world. I have moved on. I am no longer a private investigator. Now, this man being as down bad for her as he is, he gonna blur them lines anyway. And so this one is a love triangle, and that's how it's being marketed and promoted. We don't really know yet if this is going to be a true love triangle, because this mystery man, he could turn out to be somebody that was all an illusion, in terms of, like, he sounded good, but that was for 6 hours. You can't be with him for more than 6 days before you start to see his true colors. Like, that's how it's going to play in my mind. And Wes is going to be standing by her the entire time. Like, I actually think that, she said this was the man of her dreams, and it's clearly not me. Let me find her. So I think that she's going to be put in a tough situation between, the reality of what a man could be, and a person that has been with her at her lowest point and wants to see her succeed, or the man who presents to be this amazing cultural phenomenon of a human being that has really good communication skills, is really attuned to women's needs, and is somebody that I have been searching for, like my mythical unicorn. So I can't wait to read more from this. Like I said, I'm enjoying, the one thing I will say, I am enjoying that, Tia's writing just in general. She does a great job of balancing, like, beautiful prose, being funny as all get out. One thing I realized going to see Tia, which I'll put in some clips later on, she is extremely funny. Like, I don't think we have got the true talent of how comedic she is, but I'm starting to see it in this book.
I get nervous in front of people, and I feel like during, lockdown, which was a horrific time, but also it was kind of nice. I don't have to do anything. Like, I don't have to get on the train. I don't have to, look anyone in the face. But then it just made it so much weirder. I'm still trying to figure out, how to have, a non-psychotic conversation with someone. I just forgot how to small talk. Let me tell you something. I listen to Like This or Like That every 72 hours.
TLC or In Vogue?
TLC. In Vogue. Yes. Yes. But TLC. It is close. It is absolutely close. I mean, I could get up and do the Giving Them Something you can feel choreography right now. I know you could. Yes. Give us some red gowns.
Okay,
And the gloves. Woo.
Yeah, and the gloves. Jodeci or Boyz II Men?
Jodeci. I will fight. I know, but I mean, we have to be real with ourselves. Whitney could have done 5 counts of recording. But Janet couldn't sing. It's tough. You know what? I can't.
It's okay. I wrote that with no intention of answering.
Okay.
I'm 40% in, and I am so irritated by our FMC Sasha. Mainly because she is stringing my boy Wes along something fierce, knowing that this man has, one, established boundaries. And if anybody should be more respectful of boundaries and understanding limits and what's okay and what's not okay, it should be her. And yet and still she finds a way for her to say, yeah, F your boundaries, I'ma push and push and push and push. This man felt every time, and she knows that. And it's just like frustrating to me because I'm like, girl, you are literally having this man find another guy for you to be the one to claim that he is going to be your Mr. Everything when he is standing right here. Again, granted, I know women, we've all been in that situation. We've all had that friend that wanted to be a little bit more than a friend, or we've all had that guy that was like, I'm enamored by you, and you never gave him the second chance of date. However, my good sis, I wouldn't be as perturbed about this had you not already used the man before. Like, and partly he is to blame, right? Because you fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. But again, he has it down bad for her. He has, I'm gonna say, a savior complex. Now, all that aside, I feel her on a deep level when it comes to some of the things that she's talking about. Me and Sistren, we get real close. Like, I'm like, oh, when she starts to talk about like how it is more comforting to be alone, but the longer you are alone, you start to psychologically think, am I the problem? Is something wrong? Like, sis, I get you. Also, the conversation about like wanting to be interesting, I'm like, okay, I understand you. However, my girl, I want you to do what I cannot. I want you to put yourself out there, take the risk, and go for this man, because I know I wouldn't, because I'm just like you. But show me that it's possible, Sasha. Show me what could happen. Oh, I am so frustrated because the conversation that we're literally in right now, where she is like, oh, have you, what did he call it? Self-checkout lately? And he was like, yeah, I did it this morning. I said, girl, you shouldn't be asking this man that type of question. That is not your business. And yet and still, coming back to the conversation, no boundaries. All right, I'll come back to y'all. Okay, it's hours later, and I know to you all it may just seem like a few moments, but for me, I think I realize now what my big pet peeve is with Sasha. The girl is nosy. Like, yeah, I said she pushes boundaries, and so it goes hand in hand with that, but you are in this man's business, and I mean bad. You got things going on in your life that you need to be worried about, but you stay trying to figure out what's going on in his. And if he did not want to tell you what him and his sister was talking about, why are you asking more questions? Clearly he is already irritated, and now you getting into his business. And I have a feeling that he's about to say, oh, I gotta go somewhere and do something, and you're gonna be like, oh, I'll come with. He didn't even want you to come on this trip to find out about the mystery man, yet you popped your butt up, and now you're gonna come back again and be in his family business. Girl, please have some decorum. I think that's what's gonna be it, right? Like, I'm enjoying myself. However, my nerves are just grating right now. So I'll be back. I think it's time for me to give you a check-in for the misconnection. I'm 73% of the way in. I think I'm going to DNF this one. Yeah. Hate to say that because I have adored everything that I've read by Tia Williams up to this point. And maybe that's the thing, right? This year, some of my most anticipated reads, some of the reads from my favorite authors are not necessarily landing with me. We're having a misconnection, shall I say. I know it's very, very punny, but one, let's talk about how this book is called Misconnection, and it really should be called Miscommunication. I am struggling so bad with our FMC. And again, I want to be mindful that our FMC hasn't been dating. Same here, girl. Right here. Haven't dated in a while. Very long time, to be honest. And yet, babe, we know that this man wants you. You, in the recess of your mind, know that you want this man and could possibly put two and two together to understand that he wants you. I mean, the man has literally said, I don't do this job anymore, and yet I'm doing it for you. I don't let people let me blur the lines and go out of my way to do the things that are uncharacteristic for someone in my profession, but I'm doing it for you. I don't chase down men for other women, especially when we had a thing, but I'm doing it for you. The man is making a lot of concessions, and this lady is getting offended when he calls her out to be like, hey, why are you doing this and giving me missed signals? Why are you towing the line? Why are you asking for somebody and I'm right here? Why are you using me? Let's talk about that, because that is my biggest pet peeve. And I already came to y'all earlier about this, but the transgression has gotten worse. She has done something that I feel is unforgivable in a way of using a man. And I understand it's the whole, double sworded type of ordeal where she's like, if a man did this, it would be wrong. Yeah. We would still call him skeevy. We would call him, his actions are questionable. And yet she glosses right over it. And the man, let me tell you, the man, you didn't have to twist Wes's arm. He would have given you whatever you wanted, as it's evident, because he shows you when he comes and he goes into your kitchen. Like he says, hey, I'm down for whatever the cause is, but you using him and not necessarily addressing it accordingly, I can't get down. Like, stop using this man. This man is trying his best, and then you show up always where he didn't ask you to be. But again, what further irritates me is how nosy she is. My last and final straw is where she got his journal and she like, oh, I'm not gonna read it, baby. You knew you was gonna read it. I don't even know what it says. I don't care to know what it says, because why? Those are his private thoughts. And I'm already aware of what the man is thinking. I don't need to rehash this anymore, because then you're going to start acting real strange and he's going to invite you to meet the man. And I'm over it. So I really wish I did love this. I understand it follows the premise, right? I knew where we were going. I knew that this was going to be a love triangle. I honestly knew who I was going to be rooting for the entire time. What I did not come to expect was how I was going to feel about Sasha. And maybe it's a me thing. I really do want to see them like get over themselves and be together, because Teo, Seed F, is just a figment of our imagination. However, the painstakingly things that I got to go through to get to that, I'm not sure. Again, still love Teo down bad. This cover has truly grown on me. The story in the pages in between, not so much. So I'm going to put this one down. And I'm going to take a little bit of break, but I probably will come back and start The Princess and the PI, because I've got to redeem myself in this video, because I'm not sure if it's me or it's the storyline or what's going on, but hopefully Nikki can turn this video around for you all. Talk to you soon. Okay, I am here to tell you all I have started The Princess and the PI by Nikki Payne, and I'm already on a better foot. Now, I find this interesting because I'm the opposite of the public opinion. Everybody loves, I think, The Misconnection. And y'all know how I felt about this because y'all just see my thoughts about it. Most people don't necessarily care for this. And I'm like, now wait a minute. Let me come in with my own personal thoughts and opinions because right now I'm having a fantastic time. Now, as y'all know, that could always change, but right now I'm locked in. This is particular for people who actually like thrillers, mysteries. Now, granted, me, I don't read a ton of mysteries because it's always got to have a romantic element about it. Very much giving, what was that Stacey Abrams book? Y'all know the one. I'll put it up here. That was my first foray into like, oh, we could read mystery, but make it a love story in between there. And that's exactly what this is given. So I understand why people who are super romance heavy may not necessarily care for this because these two, yeah, there's a little spark and a little chemistry, but it's not the entire plot of the story. The entire plot is this woman here, Miss Fiona, she is Ghanaian. First and foremost, I love that we're getting that Ghanaian representation. We're getting a little bit of something different because we're hitting on topics about how you may have individuals that are visibly Black, but they dissociate from the Black experience and they say they want to be down with the culture, but when things get rough, they distance themselves. That is a true conversation in this book. Also, things that we're understanding about Fiona. Fiona grew up very, very sheltered. She was heavily involved in her parents' church, which also happens to be visibly seen as a cult. They live on a compound. They move very different in terms of the way in which they order women and children in this church. So it is very much religious bigotry in here. And I know if that is not something you enjoy reading because you're so in tune with your faith, this may not be the book for you. I would also say if you grew up in the church and you have since left the church, but you have really deep feelings and you don't want to be triggered or go through any emotional turmoil going back into this experience, this may not also be the book for you. Please be mindful. Again, it does have a lot of religious context. Now, that being said, I love that our female main character, Fiona, is learning a lot about herself through this experience. However, I really do wish she didn't have to go through this. Let's talk about what this experience is. So, Fiona, our FMC, she is caught essentially red-handed stealing this vest that is worth $56 million at a tech company convention. And the reason that she is stealing this vest is because it is her brother's life's work, and it was A, stolen from him, and B, he is now deceased, and his partner is standing to gain from all of it. And so she is like, my brother dedicated his life to this, and it was in honor of our mother who has also passed away. And so like the two people that I have loved, the two people that truly saw me in the world, less so her mother, because we'll talk about how her mother played into some of the fears and things that she has going on in her life, but more so her brother. The two people that are part of my genetic makeup are not here, and the world keeps moving on and stealing things from them as though they never contributed to the world. And so she's like, I'm going to take this from this convention, I'm going to burn it, and I'm going to put him in this to rest. But she gets caught, and when she gets caught not only stealing the vest, but the person that is not necessarily her brother's ex-lover, but his boss, is unalived. And so everybody is looking at her like, you're the reason. And so she's like, no, it's nothing like that. I need to be exonerated. She goes to jail, and it just so happens our male main character, Bennett, is there. Bennett, his real name is Maurice, but for the context of this, I'm going to keep calling him Bennett just because that's what's in my head. Maurice / Bennett is there. Now he is undercover because he is trying to find out how the person that is unalived, he's working for him. So he's like trying to dig up things on that man's wife because the boss doesn't want to pay her and he wants to divorce her. Like he wants to get out of this situation. So he's already working for the man. And so he sees this go down and he's like, something is suspicious about this, especially when he finds out that Fiona is the daughter of an of a case that was unsolved by him. And he thinks that it all has to do with this church. Now, I am really enjoying how this is working out because there are so many people that could be suspects. There is so much going on. The unopened case that has been plaguing Maurice for years, right? Roughly around the same time, 3 or 4 years ago, Bennett was working on this case and it was all connected to this church. This young girl was abused and she was unalived. And he's like, this is the thing that really has been plaguing me my entire career. Now, he used to be a police officer. He essentially was removed from the force, or he decided to leave from the force. And now he's a private investigator. And that is the last case that has really been plaguing him. And he's like, okay, all of this is coming full circle. I can't let this woman go to jail for something that I'm pretty sure she didn't do. Now, she was caught red-handed with the vest, so he can't deny that. But he's like, I don't think this woman who is standing here in like this pilgrim's attire from way back yonder is responsible for the death of this really genius billionaire. Like, I don't think that this is right. So he goes and he's like, hey, I'm going to help you out here. And so they decide to work together. Again, what I like about this is that she is an amateur sleuth. She's on the internet. She does a lot of things on her own, but she just hasn't been exposed to the world. Whereas Maurice Bennett is very worldly. He is a private investigator. He knows the in and out of people. He knows how to work and do the things, but he doesn't have any help or support because he's doing this all on his own. He doesn't have an assistant. He doesn't have anything. And so they get to partner and pair really well. And so he helps her build her confidence, and she gives him the ability to kind of like work through some past things that he had going on and really probably put the case that's been plaguing him to bed, because he suffers from insomnia because he keeps seeing the unsolved murder case kind of just, the woman is, he's seeing her, he is experiencing her ghost, and with around her he gets to be comfortable and relaxed. This book, for me, again, I know a lot of people have feelings for this, but like for me, I am enjoying it because I am looking at all of the different ways of the perspectives of who it could be. I am working through the case myself. I am enjoying the little bit of romantic tension between the two, but again, for me, it's not necessarily the most prominent part. So I think if you come into this expecting this amazing love story that has a little bit of antics of mystery, you may not like this. If you're looking to be a part of something that has mystery, intrigue, motive, you're looking to see a little bit of chemistry, sparks, and tension, but you're also looking to see like people reclaim who they are. Like, he knows that he's a great detective, but everybody is telling him, you know, and even his psyche is telling him, hey, you're not good enough, you didn't do this, or you're wrong, haha, the world is laughing at you. Seeing him kind of prove that he is right, that prove that he doesn't have to take these little bitty peon cases. He doesn't have to work on the infidelity cases. He can do hard and difficult and major profile cases again. If you're looking for a situation where a woman, you know, understands her power, learns her agency, you know, dissociates from all of the things that she was raised to believe, she really gets to identify what her power is. She gets to understand that she doesn't have to take the treatment from her family, that she, you know, is only there to serve a man. She, you know, she really gets to become a woman and live in her body and understand, you know, yes, God made you to be full figured. He made you to be brilliant. He made you to be, you know, woman. He made you to be what he's called you to be and her living that truth, this is going to be the book for you. So I'm enjoying it. I can't wait to see where this goes next, because when Nikki came to St. Louis and she talked about like there's a specific scene, I'm just waiting for me to get here. I'm waiting for this red dress to pop out and appear. I'm waiting for us to see her, you know, put a dagger on her thigh. I am waiting for the moment that she cooks and it gets hot in the kitchen and my glasses start steaming up, because I know Nikki is going to do it for me. So I'm going to continue reading this. I'll come back to you. Time for me to give you all my final thoughts on Nikki Payne's The Princess and the PI and wrap up this video. Now, I'm a little bit conflicted on my final thoughts here, and I've given myself a day and I still don't know where I land. I really enjoyed reading this. I had a really good time. Did I figure out who was behind the two unsolved cases? Yes, I did. Did I understand the reason and the motive? A little bit. Could I tell you what it's all about and give you a play-by-play? Absolutely not. But that does not take away from my enjoyment any less. I've seen quite a bit of critiques on this one when it comes to the mystery. And like I said, this one has a lot going on. There are two cases that they're actually behind. We're trying to figure out what happened with Tamika and who was responsible for her unaliving. And then we're trying to figure out who was really responsible for Robert. Because as I stated in this story, right now, all things are pointing to our female main character, Fiona, and the church, which is a part of what she's involved in, but she is trying to extradite herself from. So she is in this situation where all things are kind of looking back at her and her family. Now, I will say I really enjoyed the comedic elements. One thing about Nikki, she's always going to make you laugh. She is always going to get you to buy in to the characters and what they have going on with their life. And that's one of the hard things is I really got invested with Maurice and Fiona. I really enjoyed them, but the characters outside of that, everyone else was very unlikable. Essie, kick rocks. I could not stand her sister, and I really wanted Fiona to be able to step up and be like, hey girl, I don't know what you got going on or why you're acting this way towards me, but baby, you don't have to be here. And her father, I was conflicted because again, this is one of those situations where her father, baby, you have a hard way of showing that you care about your children. And the situations you continue to put me in, you couldn't love me like you say you love me. These two will for sure be on my family I'd like to fight. Mainly her sister, because her sister could have got them hands. But again, it's not really about them, but it is. I will say that I had a time with their romance. The thing that I loved about this is it had unexpected steam and spice, y'all. I knew Nikki was, dragging the bait of saying like, oh, they're going to go to a pleasure club. Did I think we were going to see those scenes in this book and get like the play-by-play? No, I wasn't. This is a virgin FMC, and I typically don't like reading romances where the FMC is a virgin, especially because a lot of the time when I read those books, they tend to lean into purity culture, which this one did. However, that was the entire premise of this book. And the way in which Nikki talked about it was very realistic, very rooted in her research. And I definitely can see that. One of the things that this book has a heavy emphasis on is women and their place in society, and how there's a lot of dogma that says women should be obedient and submissive. And Fiona really played into that for the majority of her life. And now she is in this situation in which she has done all of the things, and the men in her life have turned their back on her. And so now she has to become a different woman and grow and learn. And I loved getting to see her not only love herself, but receiving love from others and being able to see how she was viewed through the eyes of others. First and foremost being Maurice. Maurice really loved her mind, body, and soul. Like, he was fighting it tooth and nail, don't get me wrong, but he let her know, hey, you are more than what you've grown up to believe, and I'm going to show you. And then he brought his sisters. Now, he has 3 sisters. And if you know anything about sister dynamics and how if there is only one boy, they are going to ride so hard for that brother of theirs. They're going to make sure, hey, if there's any woman that ever thinks she's going to get to you, she got to go through us, especially when they come from money. And let me tell you, Maurice did not mind dropping a bag on her. This man was raised to not only take care of the woman that he loves, but his sisters as well. And you can see the family values and the family dynamic. So when Fiona got to meet his sisters, I felt a sense of joy, because those sisters really did understand, hey, you really care for my brother, and he really cares for you. Let me pour into you and show you what a true family could look like. And I really enjoyed that, being able to get back to the characters that we've seen, because one of the interesting things is Maurice is the brother of a sister that we already saw in one of Nikki's past books. I'm not going to give it away who it is and what the dynamics are, but really good time reading and getting to see the characters and how they embrace one another. I wish we would have got a little bit more backstory into the church and their leading members. That would have tied things together nicely for me, more than we've seen Kofi, because again, a lot of the emphasis focused on Kofi, but there were many more members of the church that were unnamed or not focused on. And I know that there's a point of having a lot of red herrings in this because it is a mystery, but when you focus so much on the church as an institution, I wanted to see, okay, there are players, like name those people. Yes, you can name the society and you can name it as a organization, but call out the people. One thing we don't do is really well is in general name specific individuals. They get to hide behind an organization, and you can see that in the news. And I really wanted everybody to get a name and for them to be convicted. I wanted everyone to go down with the ship. Now, I will say, because we have 2 different mysteries in here, it's a lot going on. There are so many people that you have to keep track of and understand their motive, which is typical of a mystery. But at certain points, because you had 2 mysteries you were trying to solve, it started to get overwhelming and too layered. So that is where I lost a lot of what was going on, because it was just so much. You had to figure out who Sarah was in connection to Amelia. You got to figure out who David was, who Maurice interacts with. You have to see with Tony Ryan. There's so much going on that I'm like, okay, now wait a minute. I'm just going to put all of that to the side, and I'm just going to ride and see what Nikki takes me on. I will say there are some ways in which this wraps up, and I was like, okay, that's justifiable, but it wasn't enough. Like, I I know that people are going behind bars, but I want to see them suffer. Like, give me something, because the things in which they did to the women in this establishment, criminal side eye. Y'all, if you are looking for something that has comedy, that has growth and arcs of character, because not only did Fiona grow, but Bennett grew as well. Maurice got to say, he got to lean on someone. He got to be his authentic self, because these two are nerdy as it comes. And most people don't appreciate that from this man. They see that he has status, he has power, he has money. He looks great. He is suave. They see all of that and don't know that this man loves to sew. He loves Naruto. He loves Goku. He loves being able to, just relax and comfort and peace. He is a overthinker. He has to have a plan. They don't get to see the man behind the persona that he brings, and she does. She gets to know him. She gets to appreciate him. She gets to challenge him. And I enjoyed being able to see the character arc for not only the FMC, but the MMC as well. And this one is one of the things that I'm going to tell you, hey, if you are a true mystery person, this may not be for you. If you are looking for romance above everything else, this also may not be for you. If you're looking for a good blend and mix, and you just want to read Nikki's catalog, and you want to get to know her better as an author, and understand, how diverse her mind and her storytelling is, this one may be it. Again, go in with your own thoughts. Me personally, I know when it comes to the two of these comparison, we really should not be comparing these two. They are vastly different, but they do center private investigators. Personally, I'm going to tell you, I like this one marginally better than this one. I think that's because of my expectations. I knew people didn't come in with this, and I put all of that to the back, and I just went in for the story, whereas this one I had extremely high hopes. I think my issue was more so with the FMC in this book than anything. But again, tell me your thoughts. If you've read both of them, one or the other, tell me what you thought about this. Are you interested in reading cozy or mystery or romantic suspense? Tell me what you like. If you don't want to do any of that, tell me if there is a magnifying glass and put that down in the comments below as your emoji, and I'll talk to y'all later. Bye.